Former Council of Economics advisor, Chair Glenn Hubbard, is calling for changes in the next round of the PPP to focus even more on small businesses. He joins us now to discuss. Glenn, thanks so much for joining us. Good to see you.
Likewise, my pleasure.
So this is a call not really just for an extension of the PPP, but some changes to it. So far, are you suggesting that the PPP has in fact failed small businesses?
Well, I think the PPP has had positive effects. It's increased employment, it's increased business continuity, and slowed down financial distress. But as Mr. Buffett was just saying, there's much more work that needs to be done. I don't think it needs to be done for long, but we do need assistance to help small business replace lost revenue.
Have certain sectors missed out too? Is the point here that things have just been a bit too selective?
Well, service sectors have obviously been hit a lot harder than manufacturing or the goods producing sectors. And in work I did with Mike Strain, we found that smaller firms, let's say 300 or fewer employees, would have the biggest bang for the buck of PPP. So if Congress focused on those firms and made sure that banks were willing to participate, that is, hold banks harmless, then I think we would have more success.
Seems like one big problem, Glenn, was the timing and the deadlines that they attached to this. We talked to Danny Meyer earlier, and he said the problem was it was just a miss on timing, that it required them to go for, 10 weeks? And they couldn't bring workers back by that time because we were still in the middle of this pandemic. So how do they fix that? How long do we need?
Well, let's remember in the beginning, people thought that the shutdown phase might be 10 to 12 weeks. I think going forward, PPP extension might be, let's say, for 2 quarters, let's say the first half of 2021. That should give enough time for the vaccine to get its footing and for small business to survive. I mean, after all, the goal is not to simply protect every firm. The economy is going to look different. The goal is to give a cushion for firms, given that we've shut them down.
Glenn, overall, I mean, it's easy for us all to be picking holes and with hindsight trying to argue where things should have been different. But when we snapshot 2020 in a few months' time, US GDP likely to be down about 3 or 4% year over year compared to UK down 11, Germany down about 8 based on latest estimates. Overall, has the US economy been handled fairly well?
Well, I think if you look at the revision of forecasts as the year went on, things did turn out much better than expected. And a good part of that was very aggressive public policy on behalf of the Fed, and also very aggressive fiscal policy in the CARES Act. And the Paycheck Protection Program, I think, is an important part of that. But we're not out of the woods. And this next round of fiscal support will be very important. And I hope the Congress passes it quickly.
And then what, Glenn? So let's say we do get the fiscal stimulus and it lasts for a few months. They're talking about through the end of March. And then hopefully we start getting more people vaccinated. What does this economy look like on the other side, particularly for small business?
Well, it's a great question because I don't know that we're going to need continuing fiscal support, i.e. the economy is recovering and will recover well. But the world will look different, and there will be some sectors that are smaller than before, others larger than before. I think one role for government at all levels is to help small and mid-sized firms in that transition and to help employees as they find new matches in the labor market. That's still a big deal.
Glenn, how worried are you medium to long term about the fact that the Fed has stepped in once again this year, all guns blazing to do whatever it takes, and that the market now going forward will always expect that and will one day reach a point where they can't act sufficiently?
Well, I don't think the Fed has necessarily got the medicine that the economy needs right now. What the Fed can do a great job at is keeping financial markets running. They did it in the Treasury markets. They did it in markets for corporate debt. And even by arguing they could, doing it in municipal debt. But I think for a lot of the economy, it's really a fiscal policy question. And so while the Fed has been very active, without better fiscal policy, we're not likely to see as strong a recovery as we might.
Shepard Smith here. Thanks for watching CNBC on YouTube.